I am Mariette Sidibe and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios along Caraba Avenue. Thanks for joining us. Here are the main local, international and sports news headlines. A media briefing by the Ministry of Health on the implementation of tobacco control activities in the Gambia has highlighted an increase in the risks associated with tobacco use, especially among the youths. Gambians still suffer scarcity of fish after major feasts like Tobaski, in which many providing the fish travel to their loved ones in various parts of the country and beyond. The Ministry of Agriculture and Partners on Friday validated the final report of the National Draft Pathway to Sustainable Food Systems. In international news, over 50 people have reportedly died following a mudslide and flooding in China as the search for survivors continues. In sports, Gambia is among the 207 countries at the opening ceremony of the world's biggest sporting event, the Olympic Games taking place in Tokyo, Japan. Those were our main headlines. Now the news in detail. A media briefing by the Ministry of Health on the implementation of tobacco control activities in the Gambia has highlighted an increase in the risks associated with tobacco use, especially among the youths, that are causing life-threatening non-communicable diseases. Momodu Laminchai reports.
Health complications with risks that include disease, disability, and preventable death. According to the 2010 STEP survey report quoted by the Health Ministry, the prevalence of tobacco use among the population is higher among youth than among older people aged 35 to 44 years. Another serious concern about tobacco consumption in the Gambia is the use of shisha by 8.4% of school-going children between the ages of 12 to 20 years.
So if we are exposed to tobacco shisha like we are here for only 1 hour, it means that each of us have smoked 100 sticks. 100 sticks. Each stick contains 7,000 different chemicals.
The Gambia currently has tobacco control laws that put heavy tax on tobacco products, making illegal its promotion and use in public places. The 2008 to 2017 Global Youth Tobacco Survey shows a 12.1% and 3.3% decline in exposure to smoking at home and at public places. These figures show relative progress, but challenges remain.
The bulk of the challenges lie within us, especially we at the community level. You know that this particular person is smoking in my presence, and he should not. And you are doing nothing. And you know that 100% is detrimental not to only him, but to you and whosoever is sitting next. But the Muslaha syndrome is the problem.
Smoking tobacco products is among the major causes of non-communicable disease such as heart disease, stroke, diabetes, cancer, and chronic lung diseases. 16.7% of the Gambia's population are active smokers of tobacco products, and their treatment for these non-communicable diseases are increasing the country's healthcare burden.
And this is a lifelong disease, so the economic loss here is very huge. The earning and the productive loss because of the tobacco-related diseases and the premature death can also be huge and are borne by employers and non-employers.
Every cigarette pack in the country is boldly labeled "Smoking Kills." But as part of tobacco control strategy, the Ministry of Health will introduce new graphic health warnings in September for cigarette packet labeling, bearing a picture of a child with the warning that tobacco smoke is harmful to children.
Whether you read or you can read or you can't read, the message alone will signify something dangerous to your imagination. So this is why we came up with this idea of having this graphic design, and that this will be rotational. Every 2 years, we'll have another new design of graphical drawing.
In its efforts to implement the Tobacco Control Act, the Ministry of Health, through its Non-Communicable Disease Unit, has briefed the press that it had taken part in joint enforcement operations of the Tobacco Control Act and conducted orientations with stakeholders, including the police, custom officers, and public health officers. Mohamed Lamin Chai, QTV News.
Gambians still suffer scarcity of fish after major feasts like Tobaski, in which many of those providing the fish travel to their loved ones in various parts of the country and beyond. QTV's Jenna Basonko visited the Barcote Fish Market to get reactions on the situation.
On a usual weekday, these empty stalls would be full of different species of fish. Fish is consumed in almost every household in the Gambia daily, either for lunch or dinner. It is now to be expected that after major feasts like Tobaski, Korite, Magal Tuba and more, there will be a scarcity of fish because the sector is dominated by foreigners. Gambians don't feel the scarcity of fish on the first days of Tobaski, but they do on a day like today, a couple of days after the feast. Omar Balde is one of the vendors at the market with no fish to offer, and he confirmed to us that he made efforts but couldn't secure even a little to sell.
I did my best to get fish, but I couldn't. My usual customers are even asking me for fish. This is really affecting me because I am a family man, and I couldn't stay at home doing nothing with my kids there, so I decided to just come and be here. I am calling on the government to support young people to venture into fishing to prevent issues as such.
Hadinyas is one of the few vendors with some fish to offer, and she urges more Gambians to venture into fishing to ensure the availability of fish during these times. Today, if you ask your child to become a fisherman or a fish distributor, the child will refuse. Fishing is very significant, as through this business I can pay my children's school fees. This is our country, and it is not nice that after a feast like Tobaski, we can't have fish because fishing is dominated by foreigners. Marie-Therese Gomez is one of those who suffers during this period, saying it's either you buy it expensively or you go without.
$400.
You have just seen it now. I just bought 3 catfish for $400. I retired back in 2015, and where will I get the money to buy 3 catfish for $400? All of us can't sit in an office. That's not possible. I am calling on Gambians to venture into fishing. If I had the energy, I would venture into fishing business because I know the benefits. People are coming from Senegal to the Gambia to venture into fishing, and those people have seen the benefits. Gambia is lucky to have a variety of fish species like jack, captain fish, bunga, snapper, barracuda, butterfish, and more. Is it better requiring government intervention to ensure more Gambians venture into fishing, or does it require an attitudinal change from more Gambians to see the benefit of getting into the industry? Only time will tell. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Basonko.
The Ministry of Agriculture and partners on Friday validated the final report of the National Draft Pathway to Sustainable Food Systems following a regional and national consultation and stakeholders dialogue. Omar P. Jallo reports.
The dialogue was followed by the thematic consultation group in 4 action tracks, led by the National Disaster Management Agency, the National Nutrition Agency, the Ministry of Environment, and the private sector. The findings from those consultations have been consolidated as the National Pathway document ahead of the Pre-Food Systems Summit in Rome next week. In her opening remarks, the UN Resident Coordinator in the Gambia, Sarafin Wakana, said the UN supported the entire process to ensure all the relevant stakeholders were engaged and consulted, adding the UN systems is committed to supporting the government of the Gambia to ensure the vision of transforming our food system and achieving Agenda 2030 and other SDGs become a reality.
Changes in our food systems must happen as they will help limit the impacts of the pandemic and also initiate a shift to a safer, fairer, more sustainable world. Our blueprint to recover from this pandemic is our Agenda 2030. Investing in changes in our food systems will support the transformation of our world. The pre-food summit taking place in Rome next week will help us define the scope of our ambition and work out how we must address hunger, the impacts of climate change, and grave inequality and conflict by transforming our food systems.
Delivering the opening statement, the Minister for Agriculture, Ami Fabre, said the pathway will become a national document while challenging participants to study, rigorously criticize, and give it the due diligence. Minister Fabre added that the national pathway consists of several milestones, which will contribute to the achievement of the 2030 SDGs agenda.
The key milestones are: 1. Increase access to land, financing and other productive resources for women and youth. 2. Increase the efficiency and effectiveness of the health delivery system. 3. Exploit sustainably the country's natural resource base. 4. Double food production. 5. Coordinate a harmonized policy environment that affects food systems. 6. Increase private sector investment in the food system. And 7. Respect regional and international fiscal obligations by government of the Gambia.
The Agriculture Minister will represent the Gambia at the Ministerial Peace Summit in Rome on the 26th of this month, convened by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and the UN General Assembly ahead of the Food System Summit in September 2021. Reporting for KTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
We will now go for a commercial break. When we return, we will have more local, international, and sports news stories.
Such exceptional prices, impossible to miss the Butty Days. Butty Days is the unmissable appointment of Butty Mart. From the 17th to the 31st of July, take advantage of exceptional discounts up to 50% off on several product family. The best quality, price ratio for the best construction is at Butty Mart. So don't wait anymore. Let's hit the road for the Butty Days. Butty Mart, everything for construction, from foundation to finishing.
Step into the future of television with sleek and slim design Samsung Smart TVs, ranging in size from 32 to 75 inches and in different technology. Smart LED, Crystal UHD, Ultra High Definition, and QLED Quantum Dot LED. Get new ways of interacting with your TV as our TVs offer an unparalleled vision adventure from the comfort of your living room. Ultra viewing angle, powerful picture quality, web browser, gallery, EarthNet LAN, wireless LAN built-in, Bluetooth, screen mirroring technology, mobile on TV mirroring, built-in voice assistance, Wi-Fi direct. Not only that, our TVs are backed with 12 months warranty and we are currently on a promotion. Contact us on 333-3217.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. As humans, animals and the environment depend on trees for survival, the Social Environmental Studies Club of the Gambia College, Basse Campus, has embarked on a massive tree planting exercise. The crusade, which aims to fight the effects of climate change, has planted over 200 trees within the campus. This report by Fode Mane is narrated by Omar P. Jallo.
Targeting the entire college campus, over 200 different varieties of trees were planted as part of this initiative. The students were joined by their lecturers to successfully carry out this exercise, which, in addition to mitigating the effects of climate change and to provide an environmentally friendly college campus. Ibrahim Willan, the president of the SES Club, Gambia College in Basse Campus, explained the motive behind the exercise.
This tree planting exercise is part of our action plans. as you rightly said. Embarking on this, if you look at the nature of the club, it's all about dealing with the environment, fighting for climate change. And then we realize that greening up the environment is one of the factors in which we can use to achieve, fighting for, this climate change issue. So we, the club, we, do all what we could and then contact people, and then they responded positively. That is why this day, became very successful.
Following the recent windstorm disaster across the country, which was seen by some as an effect of climate change, Ibrahim Hassan, the geography lecturer at the college, said tree planting should be everyone's business to help prevent some of these environmental hazards.
Tree planting exercise is something that is very important, as we call for green our environment. And we know that in order to solve some of the environmental hazards, tree planting is key. It helps us to solve a lot of those issues like drought, like flooding, and you name them, there are many. So I will advise everybody to consider this as an important exercise to engage much in that, because it's important, we cannot overemphasize it. Really, it will help us and it will serve a long way in shaping our environment, most especially in the school environment.
Suleiman Sise, a history lecturer and the coordinator of the SCS Club, reaffirmed his club's commitment in sustaining the planted trees.
The expectation is like we are going to endeavor to make sure that the plants will survive, because we are already in the rainy season. When we come into the dry season, because the SCS Club is here to stay, we will coordinate it to make sure that we continue planting the trees as much as we can to make sure that the trees that are planted survive, and this will not be the end of it. Every year we'll do something like this.
Mamadou Katim Toure, a senior lecturer speaking on behalf of the coordinator of the college, applauded the students for their laudable initiative, while he further challenged other institutions to emulate the act.
But it is one thing planting trees, another thing taking care of them. We'll do all our best. We leave no stone unturned to make sure that these trees are well taken care of. And we are appreciative. I want to advise not only students on this campus, but students all over the country, all other institutions, to engage in this type of initiative. And other institutions, even like GRTS, QTV, to engage in this type of tree planting to enhance the environment. It is very important.
Tree planting is a great way to increase students' interest in their environment. In addition, trees have a significant impact in mitigating climate change and helping to prevent other environmental disasters. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
And next up, we have international news. Over 50 people having reportedly died following a mudslide and flooding in Henan province in China. Rescuers believe the death toll is likely to rise as the search for survivors continues in what has been described as a devastating incident. Ansumana Isonyasi reports.
Home to more than 99 million residents, Henan is one of China's most populous and poorest provinces, with large strips of farmlands and factories. Severely battered by torrential rains that have displaced hundreds of thousands of people since last weekend and caused an estimated 1.22 billion yuan, about $190 million of economic damage, Henan is currently experiencing some of the worst of widespread rainfall and flooding. As of Friday morning, authorities reported 33 deaths as rescue efforts intensify following devastating floods that submerged entire neighborhoods, trapped passengers in subway cars, caused landslides and overwhelmed dams and rivers. With rescuers reporting a high likelihood of an increase in the number of fatalities, an image of a woman tossing her baby to safety just as a mudslide and floods hit their home has garnered millions of shares online. Sadly, she has since been reported dead, though her baby survived after being buried under the rubble for 24 hours. Meanwhile, nearly 400,000 people have been evacuated from their homes. Also, at least 12 people died when floodwaters inundated an underground subway line on Tuesday night in the provincial capital of Zhengzhou. Major roads in most parts of the province have been turned into rivers, with cars, debris and even people swept along by fast-moving currents. Meanwhile, in Wangzhongjiang, Authorities say rescue workers are having difficulty accessing the remote village's main access bridge, which had been swept away by floods. Many homes there have also been destroyed by the floods and rain, leaving villagers vulnerable with very limited ability to save themselves. Ansmane Sonyasi for KTV News.
Now on to sports news. The opening ceremony of the world's biggest sporting event, the Olympics Games, took place in Tokyo earlier today. Among the 207 countries participating in the Games is Gambia, whose national flag was on show with the athletes dressed in their beautiful attire. Our sports reporter, Mamadou Gajaga, takes a look.
Gambia marched along with the world at the official opening ceremony of the Tokyo Olympic Games. Sprint sensation Guinea Bass held the beautiful Gambia flag, waving it, leading the march in the iconic Olympic Stadium. Team Gambia, dressed in their traditional attire, white gown known as haftan, as they march on as the number 48 in the marching order. 4 athletes will compete for Gambia in 3 Olympic sports, namely athletics, swimming and judo. The COVID-delayed games went ahead despite protests outside the stadium, with many Japanese showing their dissatisfaction on hosting the event amid spike on COVID-19 cases in the country. The Gambia has sent athletes to every Summer Olympic Games held since 1984, although the country has never won an Olympic medal. This time, hopes are high that today's flag carrier will be the one to change that. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
Before we close, here's a recap of our main news headlines. On the implementation of tobacco control activities in the Gambia has highlighted an increase in the risks associated with tobacco use, especially among the youths. Gambians still suffer scarcity of fish after major feasts like Tobaski, in which many travel to their loved ones in various parts of the country and beyond. The Ministry of Agriculture and partners on Friday validated the final report of the National Draft Pathway to Sustainable Food Systems. In international news, over 50 people have reportedly died following a mudslide and flooding in China as the search for survivors continues. In sports, Gambia is among the 207 countries at the opening ceremony of the world's biggest sporting event, the Olympic Games, taking place in Tokyo, Japan. That's all we have for you in this bulletin of QTV News. Thank you for watching and have a nice weekend.